Muito obrigado.
Because he understands that in the era of masses, what a leader should do to be successful is not to have ideas, programs, projects, but to smell, the feeling of people, their discontent, mainly their fear, and absorb all these bad feelings and blow on them.
Antes da conversa com Antonio Scurati, algumas sugestões de leitura. 1984 será um dos livros mais conhecidos da história da literatura. Pois bem, a distopia escrita por George Orwell e publicada em 1949 surge agora sob a forma de novela gráfica com ilustrações de Fidonesti. Winston Smith tem como função reescrever a história de acordo com a versão oficial do partido. Contudo, quando se apaixona por Júlia, começa a questionar a verdade. A Sírio e Alvin continua a publicar a obra de Stefan Zweig. No ensaio Triunfo e Tragédia de Erasmo de Roterdão, Zweig traça a biografia do importante pensador, hoje já quase esquecido do público em geral. Este é apenas o primeiro volume da biografia romanceada de Mussolini que Antonio Scurati pretende escrever. E pretende porque os dois primeiros estão escritos, já estão ambos editados em Itália. O terceiro ainda está por escrever. O que é certo é que, pelo menos este primeiro volume, já foi distinguido com um dos mais importantes prémios atribuídos em Itália, o Strega. Thank you very much, Antonio, for giving us this interview. Why the title of this book?
Oh, well, the title is M, which stays for Mussolini, of course, but it's only one letter.
Yes.
The Son of the Century, it says that Mussolini is everybody somehow. It's not just a man, he's a crowd. And everyone could hide besides that letter. Because Mussolini many times has been told as kind of an evil or strange man, powerful man, but the most interesting thing about him is that he was the first, maybe in the last century, to understand, to foresight what politics was going to be in the era of masses. And so his relationship to the masses, to the crowds, it's something that still teaches a lesson a century after. Of course, is a fearful lesson, but we must always understand Mussolini in his relation to the crowds, to the masses.
Yes, and he understood also the power of, for example, newspaper in his case.
Yes, Mussolini, he was a journalist. He was, before he was the director of the Socialist Party newspaper, the Avanti. And then he was kicked out of the Socialist Party and of the newspaper, and he founded his own newspaper. But he always was a journalist. He created a kind of a revolution into the language of journalism, and then he brought that revolution into the language of politics. And his innovation in language of journalism was very meaningful, because he quitted writing very complex articles. He started to write in a very simple, direct, brutal way, and addressing to the people, and always saying I, and not carrying it anyway with the connection among what he was saying and the reality. Every phrase was a slogan, a pitch, and that was amazing for the time, and it's unfortunately is still the way that many politics leaders they communicate today with the crowds.
Yes, well, I think you're talking about Donald Trump, for example. but also Bolsonaro?
Yes, but the list would be a long list.
A long list.
Because I think that Mussolini was the archetype of every populist leader of the next century. We usually we fall into this mistake to think what there is of fascism in Trump or Bolsonaro or Salvini, and we could carry on. But that's not the right question. Trump, Salvini, Bolsonaro, they're not fascists. They don't come from a political fascist culture, but they are grandson of Mussolini, because Mussolini was the founder of fascist movement and party, but was also the inventor of the populist leader.
Well, but like the populist leader and Mussolini, if you may, I think that he didn't have really an idea of a future of a future to Italy, like the populist leaders that we have today. It seems to us that, like Mussolini, Trump, or Bolsonaro, and other populist leaders, don't have an idea, a good idea for the future of their countries.
Of course, that's the point. That's why Mussolini is the grandfather of the nowadays populist leader, because we are used to think of Mussolini in the 30s, when he had a doctrine of fascism and an ideology, when he planned for the next generation. But the Mussolini I tell in my novel is a leader who has no ideas at all. He has no principles, he has no loyalties, he has no commitments, he betrays everyone, starting from himself, and is empty. And that's why he's so, that's why he's winning. That's why he gained powers, because he understands that in the era of masses, what a leader should do to be successful is not to have ideas, programs, projects, but to smell, the feeling of people, their discontent, mainly their fear, and absorb all these bad feelings and blow on them. That's why Mussolini is successful. That's why today populist leaders are successful in many occasions. And that's why very bad politics comes from both of them.
Yes. Well, another remarkable thing that he was able to do, not alone, but, for example, with the help of Gabriele D'Annunzio, a very important author, was turning a victory into a defeat. That was amazing, because Italy was in the side of the winners when was the end of the First World War. But then he turned this victory into a defeat. Yes,
it is amazing. You see, we had defeated our historical enemy, the German, as people used to say, of course, was the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Habsburg, but for the people was just German. And we should be proud and because of that, and happy. But D'Annunzio, he creates this expression, la vittoria mutilata, and I don't know how to translate that in English. It means that victory was mutilated, like the people who came back from the trench. And Mussolini learns from D'Annunzio, and he discovers that there is a political passion more powerful than hope. You see, hope was the great idea of the socialism coming from the 19th centuries. The life of my son and grandson will be better than my life. Okay, I trust in the future, and I hope for the next generations. And that was a very powerful idea. But Mussolini, once he's kicked out of the Socialist Party, and he cannot rely on hope, he discovers that there is a political passion even more powerful than hope, and that is fear and discontent and rage and resentment. And he bets everything on that, on fear, discontent, resentments. And he bets for the worst, and he wins, unfortunately.
Those were the ingredients that made him step into the power, Antonio.
Yes. You see, in 1919, when I start my novel, my documentary novel, Mussolini, he was a loser. He had nothing. He was kicked out of the Socialist Party. He had no followers. They were when he found the movement that is called Fasci di Combattimento. He has only 100 followers at the first meeting, but he uses two weapons: his newspaper and, of course, violence of the milizia, gli squadristi. But those two weapons can be effectful because there is so much anger, so much discontent, so much fear spread among the people, and that violence, which is typical of the Italian fascism, and afterwards of the fascists all around Europe and all around the world, can be useful only if people begins to desire that violence as a solution for their anger, for their discontent. And that's what Mussolini does.
Well, anxious to read the next volume, Antonio Scurati, autor de Mussolini, o Filho do Século. Thank you very much.
Thank you.